Mr. Tracy.
Morning, gentlemen. James Tracy, Land Use Council, Fred Hill Materials, Sand and Gravel, and Thorndike Resource. Just want to comment briefly on SEPA, State Environmental Policy Act. Passed in 1971, those heady years when the federal government was dealing with the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and Washington was dealing with the State Environmental Policy Act and the Shoreline Management Act. SEPA has become integrated into the decision-making process of local governments at all levels on permits. That was its design. It was designed to be an aid to decision-making, to cast sunshine on what I think is described in the statute as previously unconsidered variables in the environment. In other words, to balance economic considerations, social considerations, cultural considerations, and environmental considerations in the making of decisions. SEPA is administered under the Washington Administrative Code 197-11, which has, through the years, been modified. Those are what we call the guidelines, the SEPA guidelines in SEPA parlance, been modified at least a half a dozen times, possibly more. But at the same time, the guidelines have been evolving. There's an evolving body of Washington State case law on SEPA and what its proper administration function and role is. It's a little like looking at the Old Testament in the first 40 years after the crucifixion. There's all kinds of people out there who think they understand what SEPA requires or what it doesn't require. There are governments who do implementation of SEPA almost totally different than the government next door. And oftentimes it gets those governments into legal trouble. Jefferson County learned that recently in the Iron Mountain case. Here's my point, not to argue for any particular outcome on SEPA, but rather to indicate that Jefferson County has at least two major projects pending before it, one or more of which might come forward to you with an EIS in the near-term future. And I think it's important for the staff, for elected officials, for community leaders and individuals in the community who are just plain interested in governance to know more about what are the appropriate roles of the parties who are involved in SEPA. The applicant, the applicant's consultants, the government's consultants, and peer reviewers. To do that, I'd like to suggest that Jefferson County consider a public workshop on the issue of SEPA, which would allow for the expression of public opinion and addressing of public questions about the process, so that we hopefully can go into the review of these two major projects at some point down the line with a better and better informed public. And also the changeover of your new, makes it kind of timely that you're having a new BCD director. Our time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Someone else like to speak?